Okay.
I don't know if there's just some sort of signal you want to give me when you want me to move to the next slide, but I'll just do my best to intuit when to do that.
Okay. All right.
All
And I
right.
might say like next slide every now and then.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, even better.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a very good, way better than mind reading.
You're like, I'll try to read. I'll try my best to read your mind.
Incredible.
Okay. All right, friends. Thank you all. Thank you everyone for your patience here and your kindness. This is truly the best community. Yeah, this is the best one.
The best
Um,
one.
all
I
right,
think
today.
I said on Twitter the other day that like other what was it? Other software companies, they want to be like the biggest, they want to raise the most money, they want to have the highest valuation, they want to have the best AI and tech. I just want the kindest customers. That's all I care about. Just a bunch
Yeah,
of kind people surrounding us.
and we
And
have them, and
and
they're
we have
here.
that. So amazing.
Aw. Okay, Seth says to scratch my nose. Holly says, use the secret code word. Next slide. Ronnie says, use a
Next.
smoke signal. All right. So we have a lot of different kinds of marketing tools to go through today. I think it was last week I had started teasing it with a Twitter thread. I had 14 or so tools and tricks. We have a lot more than 14 today. And we had them kind of organized into different, not different types of marketing, but that's part of it, but just different areas in which you would use it strategically. So we're going to start with marketing output. And marketing output, next slide, because the best way to create interesting content is to consume interesting content. And so part of the way I think about this is, oh, anyway, sorry, back to marketing output. I'm saying marketing output to start because these are the tools that will help you not quite with just content marketing and not quite with content creation, because all of this, what we'll cover here, is ultimately what your marketing team puts out there. So it's sort of just output. So remember, so we have here, it starts with the best way to create interesting content is to consume interesting content. And if you're not consuming something interesting, or if you're not consuming interesting, highly valuable content on a somewhat regular basis, you're probably going to struggle to create interesting content on a repeatable basis. So, how can you fix your inputs? Next slide. Oh, sorry, we're here. Uh, Consuming interesting content will help you um, build. It helps you build a skill, right? Teaches you how to do something. Next thing gives you a new perspective, so it might shine a light on a different way to see something. So maybe it is a learning from a lived experience, someone else's lived experience that you would never have lived. And then finally, we have interesting content might challenge you, right? It reminds you of the hills you are willing to die on, or maybe it gets you to change your mind. So consuming these different types of content, so helping you build skills, learning new perspectives, and challenging yourself. If you're doing all this pretty regularly, um, you'll probably be able to create your own repeatable content or generate interesting novel marketing campaigns.
Best way to become a better writer is to read good writers. I think content creation is the same. Geraldine just gave me a
Yeah.
thumbs up from where she's over there working on her blog post.
um, so when I think about the different kinds of intake, right, or improving your information diet, I sort of think about this on the macro level and then zooming into the micro level. So what is the macro level? It's industry or category trends. And then on the micro level, we have what your audience consumes. But then how do you go from macro to micro? Um, oh, well, one, for on the macro level, you can see Google Trends, right? So industry trends, category trends. Rand covered this in the previous office hours. You can also look at something like exploding topics. So exploding topics is, I believe it's Backlinko's, one of Backlinko's resources, but it gives you a sense of emerging trends over the past up to 5 years, I believe. We'll get into that in a little bit later. You can also look at SparkToro trending. So this is one of our own free tools where you'll see what other marketers are talking about or sharing online. So it gives you a good sense of some of those category trends. And then what your audience consumes, right? What are the things your audience consumes? Um, like magazines, right? Magazines, podcasts, social accounts, those sorts of things. And then in the middle, how do you bridge this gap, right? You can use a tool like SparkToro, ideally, right? Ideally, you would use
Ideally.
SparkToro. You would find the sources of influence. But it's not just SparkToro, right? There are other tools too. There are tools like Feedly that can help you find good articles, tools like anewstip.com. There is also frontpagemetrics.com, which helps you find emerging or fast growing subreddits. Um, and yeah, so these are just a couple tools to help you kind of bridge that gap. And we'll get into some detail on
And I think you've
what it
got
is here.
you've got links to all of these, right, Amanda, in the presentation so that folks can record this later.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'll also mention what they are, like what they are by website name, so
Cool.
that it's people know the URLs. So first we have, so I mentioned this, right? Exploding topics. I believe this is explodingtopics.com. You can find looking at all these categories like beauty, crypto, design,
Hmm.
you can see what some of the emerging topics are that people have been talking about or like I think searching for more in the recent years. So the next graphic, this example is skincare. So in the skincare topic, what are some of the things that people are more aware of now? So this ingredient is, how do you pronounce it?
Oh man,
Niacinamide,
that sounds right.
um, a form of vitamin B3 used to reduce acne. Da da da. Um, I'm kind of a weird skincare nerd, and if I could get an honorary dermatology degree, I think I deserve it. Um,
Yeah, you have incredible skin. I feel like I would like to watch a webinar about your skincare, but that's probably a niche topic for another audience.
That's super nice. But this ingredient, niacinamide, if that's how I don't even know, I can't pronounce them, but I can read all the things. Um, this is actually really useful for helping to prevent or reduce cystic acne. And it
Hmm.
is one of the few kind of topical ingredients that could create meaningful results. Also, it is an ingredient that up until pretty recently was something that you would only really be able to get on a prescription basis from a
Oh,
dermatologist. Um, I had
is
learned
that what
about,
changed right here in the graph?
I wonder, yeah. I actually wonder if that's part of what it is. Because like when I used to have to like find a dermatologist to get them to
Yeah.
prescribe me some cream that had this ingredient. And it was a huge pain in the butt, right? And also hope that my insurance covered it. But there were a lot of other in other countries that it's just an ingredient in their cream. Like there are some products like in the Philippines and in India that use this ingredient, and you can just buy them at the store. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then,
Okay. Yeah, I just pulled it up in
uh-huh.
Google Trends, and that looks like it happened, what is that, 2 years ago? That niacinamide, yeah, so it starts spiking in March of 2020. Actually, I wonder if can I share this directly? I think I can. Yeah, because you can see my full window there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, if you look at, oops, oh, it thinks I'm in Italy, right? So if you look at, oh, did I spell it incorrectly? Or is this the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. So right there,
Hmm.
so exploding topics is just using the Google Trends API, which is kind of great because it'll give you interest. But yeah, look at this rapid growth.
Huh.
Oh, could that be COVID? Isn't this when COVID came out?
Yeah.
Came out when COVID launched. Yeah, like it's a startup. Way to go, Rand. Okay,
They
well,
launched COVID.
they launched COVID. Oh man, bunch of conspiracy theorists. Geraldine just asked, why do they keep updating it? Um, So I
Did you get the
think,
latest COVID
yeah.
update?
So I bet this is somehow related to that same thing. But so it sort of gives you some sense of like um,
Oh, I think it's
you know,
different.
the relevance.
But
It
anyway,
just happens to be the
kind
same
of
time. Yeah,
the broader
interesting.
point. Sandy mentioned here, like, oh, you could, it helps reduce likelihood of skin cancer. Now you can even get it on Amazon.
Huh.
Oh, I think we were looking at the different, or at the wrong,
I'm sorry about that. Yep, my bad.
sorry guys.
But Exploding Topics is
Friends.
based on the Google
Yeah.
Trends API.
Yeah. And then also on exploding topics. So, right. So, taking this example, you can also see related topics. So, hyaluronic, aesthetics, microneedling, other
Mm.
skincare trends that have grown a lot over the past couple years. So, this is a fun resource to learn from about given niches. You can also subscribe to their weekly emails. Fun tool.
Hmm.
Next slide. All right, so this is SparkToro trending. I think this is the only graphic I have on this slide. So you see what web marketers are talking about and sharing on Twitter. This refreshes every 15 minutes based on the tweets of thousands of accounts in the marketing field. Connect your own Twitter profile to have your votes counted in the system. Oh, someone just asked, I think Kimaya asked if Exploding Trends was a paid service. No, it is free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's free.
it's free. And SparkToro Trending is one of our free tools. So
Yep,
this is
also free.
just a fun way to see what other marketers are sharing and talking about on Twitter. I like to look at this too for I don't know, I don't see everything on Twitter, right? So this is a helpful way for me to get a sort of digest on some popular links, interesting articles, and there's some really good stuff here that's often shared.
I believe Casey has also built a system where you can subscribe to trending via email and get
Oh,
the daily or weekly updates. So if you don't want to be visiting all the time or getting daily updates, you can get the every week the top things that are shared by marketers.
oh, I should subscribe to that.
Yeah, I visit trending so often that I didn't, but yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
people had asked about it.
yeah, cool. And then, oh yeah, so this was I think I took this like last night, so a little bit outdated, but
Mm,
these were the top 5 articles that have been shared um across sort of marketing Twitter over the past, day or so.
right, and then you can see the accounts that have shared them.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And so this tool here, this is from feedly.com. So Feedly, this was a tool that I actually hadn't I think it's been around for a little while, but I hadn't
Yeah.
heard of it. Um, Rand had showed this to me, and I thought this was pretty cool to see. You can search by, a given niche or topic, and then you'll find some of the accounts. Oh, we can click through a little bit here. Um, some of the like hubs or websites that are talking about this stuff. So did a search for growth marketing. Some of the fees were growthmarketingpro.com, topgrowthmarketing.com. Helpful for if you're new to a given niche, or if you're just maybe you are not new and you're looking for some new sources of information. This is a great way to find some stuff, and this is free as well.
I think they have an alerts product that's built on top of this too. That is not free, but is very good.
Awesome. I haven't tried the paid version, but yeah. Now this here is a newstip.com. A newstip.com. This is really good for PR pitches, right? So I did a search here for creator economy, and then here we'll see these are some of the recent tweets that are related to a creator economy. So helpful to just if you wanted to search, but like search tweets based on topics, this is there. Next graphic is news articles, I believe. Yeah. So here are some of the recent news articles about the creator economy. So you'll even see the author's name or reporter's name, the
Hmm.
publication that they write for. So gives you a good sense too, right? Of like which reporters have the beat of creator economy or things like that. And I think
Yeah, yeah.
there's one more graphic here. Oh no, there isn't. Um,
It will
yeah.
do the journalist profile search also works for this, but it has to be in their official bio. So if you're searching for um, keywords that are not in journalist profiles, the way I found it when I've been using it is you just have to go super broad with the keyword search.
Mhm.
So you might not even say creator economy. You might just say creator or influencer or YouTube
Oh.
or something like that when you search journalist profiles and even outlet profiles, because it's very keyword match centric, but
Mhm.
it's also free.
Yeah. This is a really great free resource.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a good journalist database for free.
mhm. Next one we have, this one is metrics for Reddit. So this one is frontpagemetrics.com, I believe.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool. So you can see the fastest growing subreddits. And this is also free. I think I have one more graphic on this slide. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see, fastest growing subreddits, top new
Yeah.
ones, and the new ones that are trending. Then you can also see them with regards to when they were created. So created in the last 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. So this is pretty cool to see.
The Halo armor builds, like, so this is in the video game world, but the interesting thing about it is this often, I find, the top fastest growing subreddits often predicts Google search volume. So it's a leading indicator. Essentially, a subreddit will get popular before search volume rises. So
Mhm.
if you're someone who plays in trends, it can be pretty hot. Uh,
Hmm,
yeah.
that's
I
interesting.
I think you can also, I'm not sure if they'll let you do it, but they might also let you filter out the not safe for work ones. I
Mm.
realize that this screenshot does not filter those out. So,
Yeah, sorry.
oops. Yeah, anyway.
All right. And where does SparkToro fit into this, right? So,
Very safe
um,
for work. SparkToro, super safe for work.
yes.
Casey's done a great job on that.
All right. So the next slide we have here is, so this is one of our this is a bonus free full query. It's not in your dashboard, but if you do a search for my audience follows the social account James Clear, you'll get the free full data here. So let's say you were in, I don't know, you were playing in the niche of like productivity or motivation or self-improvement, that kind of thing. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, he's very well known for this, right? It's a beloved book that people know and love, very popular. If you look at the audience that follows his social account, next slide, then you'll see, here are the overview behaviors and demographics of this audience. So you'll see that the people who follow James Clear on social media, the top words they use in their bios are like founder, engineer, husband. I think engineer is kind of interesting. Didn't know that there was a sort of typical or common occupation among this audience, but here we are. And then you can also see some of their top hashtags used and some other frequently used phrases. So this kind of gives you a nice picture of who are the types of people who are following James Clear. Um, Helps you to find some of those macro and micro trends, right? And then as you go down to social, um, maybe you're curious about, well, who are some of the other social accounts that people who follow James Clear also engage with. You might see names like Naval, Shane Parrish, Paul Graham. Interesting, but maybe it's not that surprising, right? Maybe you already know this. But the other thing too is, if these were people you were looking to um, maybe engage with in terms of content distribution or amplification, or you wanted to explore a potential partnership, some of these people are probably not that accessible, right? Naval and Paul Graham and Shane Parrish
I
have like
mean,
millions of followers.
plus Paul Graham blocked me on Twitter, so
There's that too.
yeah, not going to be able to reach him.
I don't think he will, but I think he blocks a lot of people.
He does. He sent
Yeah.
me an email about it, and then I think yeah. Anyway,
And it said, I'm still
ooh,
gonna block you.
ooh.
Okay.
Well, yeah. He sent me
Okay.
the after I replied to his email. That's when the block came.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, we just
Anyway,
have fundamentally different worldviews. It's fine.
and it happens. Philosophical enemies, right?
So
Just one of
philosophical
those.
enemies, not in real life enemies.
Right. No. But you can also change the filters in SparkToro to find some of the people who might be a little bit more accessible. on some certain level, right? So what does that
Yeah.
mean? So first, here's how to do it. So you can filter for hidden gems, right? So if you click on, there we go, hidden gems. Maybe you only want the gems. This would be accounts who have high engagement, have maybe a sizable following, but are probably not mainstream yet, right? People who are well known, but not exactly household names, maybe. Next, you can filter by audience size. So maybe because you want to find someone who might be on that spectrum of more accessible, maybe you would cap this at, say, 100,000 followers max, maybe. And then finally, you can also filter for account type. So if you filter for individual, SparkToro will try to present to you accounts that are probably human or probably the individuals versus a brand account or company account.
Yep.
So what might
That
you see?
doesn't always work perfectly, but it is pretty good. I think it's like 80% accurate on
Yeah.
identifying individuals.
And so here we go. So here are some other people who are extremely influential, also well known, might be more accessible on some kind of level, right? We have David Perel, Julian Shapiro, Patrick O'Shaughnessy. And how might you reach them, right? Maybe you'd follow them on social. Maybe you would go to their websites, subscribe to their blogs or newsletters or podcasts, because Patrick O'Shaughnessy has a very well known podcast.
Hmm.
And then David Perel, if anyone's familiar with his work, he runs a cohort based course called Rite of Passage. And this runs twice per year. And maybe that's something you want to keep an eye on, right? Like maybe this is relevant to you. Maybe you want to consider taking Rite of Passage as a student, or maybe you want to explore potential sponsorships. I don't know, whatever it is. This is a fake example. But these people might be more accessible, depending on what your needs are, might be more aligned with your niche or your content. Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then podcasts. Here are just some of the influential podcasts of the people who engage with James Clear or people who follow James Clear.
So again, this is all like content you consume in order to get smarter, more well versed in the niche rapidly.
Yes. Thank you for
Love
that.
it.
All right.
Cool.
So if we get into content marketing, right? So content marketing, these are some of the tools that will help you create great content, help you with maybe optimization, those sorts of things.
Love
Next
it.
slide. This is, I think, a pretty new tool, right, from BuzzSumo. BuzzSumo's content ideas generator. I'm really liking this tool.
I think,
What can
yeah, HubSpot came out with a free one, and then BuzzSumo
mhm.
was like, "Ooh, we can do better." And but is theirs paid? I believe theirs is paid.
Is it? I thought there was a freemium option. I
Oh,
don't
there
know,
might be a
but
free version. Okay.
maybe. But assuming this is the paid one because we have a BuzzSumo account,
Yeah.
um, well, you get to see screenshots from my paid account. So we have a couple bullet points to cover here. So BuzzSumo's content ideas generator. You can enter a topic. You can also look at trending stories. So once you enter that topic, you can see trending stories in that topic. You can also see the top shared content. So things people are linking to and sharing publicly online. You'll
Mhm.
also see popular keywords. So ones that are related to that topic. And then finally, you'll also see related questions. So, pretty cool to see if you are looking to generate ideas, you can look at the related questions and create content based on that. On the next slide, I have a couple screenshots. So, this is the the top trending stories. So, I think I I think they had a prompt that was like try skincare. So I was like, I would love to try skincare. um, these were some of the top trending stories. So about Zendaya and from celebrity skincare expert Jenny Glow. Next graphic, we have this is this week's top shared and linked content. So you'll
Mhm.
see the linking domains here and the total engagements. So pretty cool to see that all different websites with their content about skincare specifically. And then I think one more graphic here. And then these are the popular related keywords from this month. So in the niche of skincare routine has a volume of like 49,000. And they also have an estimated cost per click, where, if you were to run some campaigns for that, that's probably how much this would cost. Seems pretty cool. So, yeah.
Amanda, what do you do with this? I haven't used BuzzSumo for my content creation, or sorry, I have used BuzzSumo for my content creation, but I don't use this particular like the content ideas generator. Like, how do you think about using the idea generator for your content?
So the way I would think about this is I would then like look at some of these linked articles or the articles that have been linked in this niche. And then I
Mm,
mean I would just read through them and then think about like what are some things I could say uniquely that these articles haven't covered yet. And that could give me some ideas for a compelling blog post, an email series, a webinar, that sorts of things. And then I didn't
yeah,
include a screenshot, sorry, but there is if you look at some of the related questions, that could give you some certain prompts for related topics or related potential topics to explore. So, a nice way to see some sort of sources of influence, but through the lens of proper content marketing of like, here are the high volume things, here's what people are clicking on, here's a cost
yeah,
per click. That might be helpful for people who are looking to make decisions based on some of those things.
on search, yeah,
Mhm.
cool.
And then here's a pretty cool little tool here that has some of similar features to what to BuzzSumo's content ideas generator. Pretty cool here. This is neural text. So neuraltext.com. I have a couple of bullet points here. Um, so this gives you some data on keyword research. It
Hmm,
also gives you keyword clusters. And then there are two more here. You can also create content briefs, I think through the AI that they use, the
hmm,
AI tool. And then finally, you can also create some smart copy. So you can use it to generate some headlines, maybe some outlines even, like blog post outlines and ad copy. Um, Interesting thing too is that it's a free tool or they have a free offering where you can get a lot of value out of it. I will say though, I haven't validated the keyword research stuff, so I don't know how accurate that is personally, or I don't have an opinion on that.
hmm.
But it's free, so recommend looking at it. And if you want to validate that, maybe you
Yeah,
can.
probably means it comes from Google's Search Suggest API.
Mm,
Almost all the free ones do.
huh. Well, there we go.
This is my
Um,
old SEO tool head on.
yeah, but you don't have to use it for SEO, right? I think it's an interesting tool from the perspective it's free, get some ideas. So I tried to look at this as or I created a campaign with their AI tool to see like what smart copy it would generate. So my campaign was called audience research, and then I just pasted in my name is SparkToro, my audience is marketers, and then I just copied this from I think our probably our homepage,
Yeah, new
the
homepage.
description of our company, and then it generated a couple of ideas here.
Hmm.
SparkToro is a marketing intelligence platform that helps you find, analyze, and engage your audience. Um, so this is not too dissimilar from some of the smart copy slash AI copy tools that I've seen. At my
Yeah, it's
personal,
like
it's hard, right? Like,
GPT-3 or something. Yeah.
yeah, I think it is, and I mean they're all kind of different, right? It just kind of depends on what you get. Um, I have mixed feelings on some of these AI tools because I would never copy and paste this and just use in a campaign. However,
Mm.
if you're a team of one, it is a helpful way to generate some ideas that don't just come from your own brain. So I think it's helpful to see something that's like, oh, I would never say marketing intelligence because we don't use that language. Obviously, an AI tool wouldn't know that, but it's helpful from the
Right.
perspective of like, great, I have a first draft to get started. I'm going to rework it and make it my own. So,
Yeah, yeah. And interesting too, because that it could be worthwhile for us to write something about marketing intelligence or
mhm,
to write something about content amplification or influencer marketing, even though we don't talk about the product that way necessarily, like on our homepage.
yeah,
Yeah, GPT-3 is useful for this because it just gives you a whole bunch of those other
totally.
related topics. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it gives you that sense of like, oh, should I be thinking about it in this way? Like, it's fair as an idea. Like, maybe it can challenge you to think of like certain verbiage or certain topics that you wouldn't normally have used.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, like we do not feature a machine learning algorithm,
We do not.
but yeah, it's
Good guess.
it's funny, right?
Yeah.
They know that people who talk about tech the way we talk about it almost always use personalized marketing and machine learning algorithm, and so they're pulling that in. So yeah, that predictive text is probably really good.
Yeah. All right. And then we have, oh, this is the last one for content marketing. This is a new tool that I just learned of this week called primostats.com.
Hmm.
A couple bullet points here. So Primostats helps you, they do it all manually. They basically comb through reports like HubSpots, like industry trends and stuff, and
Hmm.
they input the stats from those white papers or those research reports,
Oh,
and they make it searchable for you. So they have a free
what?
offering. This is all from their free offering. And then it shows you the sources to cite. So you can search by topic or whatever it is. I filtered for their social media stats. So you just kind of filter for that. And then immediately you get these stats. Out of the most followed Instagrammers, 17 are men. From the same report, 24 are women. That might be helpful, right? If you're writing an article on like social media and you needed some stats like this, it's awesome. And then I think there's one or two more graphics here. Cool. So if you click into it, you'll even see the publication title, the source link, and the publication year. So, like, yeah, like don't just take random out of context stats and then use them everywhere, right? At least here you can see where the source is, and then you can read it for yourself and make sure it's the right thing to cite. Or, at least you'll see like, oh, great, this is from HubSpot. It's not from some total rando who has never created content before.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
this is cool.
That is very cool. The searchable stats is something I'm trying to remember. There's a few content agencies that try and build databases like this specifically so that they can cite them. But that's really cool that this is free.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know what's in their paid offering, but it's really, I mean, the free, I think it's just more stats
Okay.
in the paid offering. But that's great value from just the free account. And there's no
Yeah. What's this one
constraint.
called?
Primostats.com.
Primostats.com. Cool. Yeah, I haven't checked
Yeah,
this one out yet.
pretty cool.
Oh,
And then social media. This is actually only Twitter, but I should have updated that. But there's a tool that I really like, and this is a paid tool. I think the lowest tier is $8 per month or so. So it's not super expensive. Um, and this is called blackmagic.so. I think it's really cool, and I'm going to show you some of the screenshots from my own Twitter stats because they have the paid account for my account.
hmm.
Um, so I have a couple bullet points here. Blackmagic.so. You can see profile analytics, so analytics of your own profile. You can
Hmm.
also see analytics of any given tweet of yours. So remember, this is your own account. You can also do some automated replies. So you can like set templates for how you would reply to people. I don't personally use this because I think that's weird for
Hmm.
myself personally. But if you want to like automate this at scale, you can do it through this app. And then also you can
Ooh,
schedule
I have
tweets.
an idea.
Mm.
Amanda, you could get it so that anyone who asks, "Will the recording be available?"
Oh,
You could just reply with an automated, "Oh my gosh, what a great question. Yes, the
you're right.
recording will be available."
You are right. And then
This
I could have the link embedded, and it's like, great, just register here. I like that.
It's great for all the folks who join our crowdcast, our office hours every couple of weeks because they're like, "Oh man, they make that inside joke about the recording being available a whole lot." We do. I know. I should come up with a new inside joke. I'll work on it.
But it's a good one though, because everyone here gets it. All right, so
Yeah,
these are
it's so
from
weird. It's so weird that Twitter used to offer like good Twitter analytics and then they took it away and so now you have to use Blackmagic.
yeah, that is weird. Like I don't get it. But this is from one of my I think this is from my profile. My profile
Hmm.
analytics over the past 24 hours. I had 3 tweets. I had a lot of likes and it's up from average or yeah, from my average. So it's cool to see these stats relative to your own average. I have fewer profile clicks. It is what it is. And then you can also see your top interactions. So these are the people that you engage with most, or I think combination of you engage with them, they engage with you most often.
Right. Cool.
So that's kind of cool to see. And then you can also see your most engaging hours. So
Mm.
which is helpful if you are trying to if you're kind of trying to optimize for tweeting at most engaged times, based on what I've seen, it doesn't really change much day to day, but it's helpful to see some of those
It's
trends.
it's very weird being in Central European time for the last couple of weeks and seeing how if I tweet in the morning Europe time, the tweets just die. Like nothing happens, right? No
Oh, it's
action.
funny.
And so I have to wait until, at least the East Coast of the US wakes up. Because otherwise that's where like my followers have been trained and I think the algorithm's been
Yeah.
trained to expect me to tweet at Pacific time. So there you go.
Yeah, same here. Like mine aligns with Pacific time too. Like usually, like I think my most engaged hours are between like 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., which
Yeah.
makes sense. It's also when I tweet
Yep.
usually.
LinkedIn was the same thing when I put up the blog post this week. I had to like wait to publish it on LinkedIn.
Mm.
There you go.
Oh yeah, and you can't schedule on LinkedIn yet, huh? Or can you?
Ooh, I believe you can, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh.
I think you might need to use a third party tool to schedule.
Oh, okay. Here are some so to see some tweet analytics. So this is my current pinned tweet or thread. Um these are the impressions, profile clicks, engagement rate, all that good stuff.
And
Relative
is this saying top like 2.04% of all the tweets that they have analytics on or just your account?
just mine. So like
Okay,
relative to my tweets, this
got
is
it.
how this ranks. So which is helpful for yourself, right? If you want to know, I don't know, how your tweets are doing. You can
Right,
see
right,
like,
right.
which
Yeah.
ones are generating the most profile clicks, likes, replies, and that sorts of things. And you can also see impactful engagements. This is pretty fun
Hey.
to see. Yeah. So if Rand ever retweets me, then it tends to show up as an impactful engagement because this guy Rand Fishkin, I think he has like 450,000 Twitter followers.
Never heard of him.
Slow growth, you know. um, and then you can also see the metrics, like so you can see these metrics of like impressions, likes, and there's one more: profile clicks, retweets. There's more. There are replies. I didn't get all of it here, but these are all the screenshots that I had. And it's
Yeah,
like
cool.
you can see the impressions, and then you can also see what the past average was. So pretty cool to see that, like for impressions over 400,000, my past average was 50,000. So
Hmm.
that's fun.
Yeah, so I mean this what's funny is a lot of people call all this stuff vanity metrics, but
Mhm.
I, like you Amanda, right? I have such a hard time trying to do attribution and believing in the perfect attribution modeling, and even the value of it that I use vanity metrics on social to kind of determine how well my ideas, my content works, whether I should write more about it, whether I should send more content like that, whether that stuff is a good use of my time, right? When it's
Mhm.
professional, obviously. On
Yeah.
personal tweets, it's a different story. But
Yeah. And then where these vanity metrics are like I don't know how many decisions I can make, right, based on this. So I don't
I
know.
think it's more like a performance thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
did this thing work? I should do more things like that. Did this thing not work? I should do less things like that. And over time, you train yourself to get good at what works and stop doing what doesn't.
Yeah. And I've kept this as my pinned tweet because this is just core to what we do, right? Like
Mm,
we're not just a content marketing tool, but like it's a big part of our value prop, right? And like these are the 65% of Google searches stat comes from the research that you did. So this is all like very much within like the SparkToro ecosystem. This also aligns with my personal approach to content marketing. So where it's a vanity metric, right, to track some of this, but on the other hand, it's these are all the things that I believe in, that SparkToro believes in, and so it matters to me that
yeah.
this gets impressions and stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, and then a couple here. We actually just have one thing here for demand generation, but it's a really good tool, one of my favorites, and it is Zapier, zapier.com. So Zapier connects your apps and automates workflows. What does that mean? So I mean, this is like a fully bootstrapped, I think, but like multi-billion-dollar business. Good for
Hmm.
them.
Wow.
Um, and I mean, it's been around for maybe 10 years or more, but I've only heard about it in the past 2 years. So it's newish to me. And I think it's probably because this works really well for small businesses because you kind of pay per zap, or like in their accounts, you get like X amount of zaps or automations. And basically, if you are bigger than a small business, right? If you have like thousands and thousands of leads and stuff, you're probably going to need like a proper CRM or whatever, like enterprise tools. So Zapier is better for small businesses, solo teams, consultants, whatever. And basically, you can make your apps talk to each other. You can automate kind of any one to one action. The way I think about it is whatever you would normally copy and paste in your workflow, Zapier can probably do.
Hmm.
You haven't used this, have you, Rand?
No, I haven't used it.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, I'm somewhat embarrassed. Someone from
No.
their team did have a conversation with me at a conference in
Mhm.
San Francisco, like the year before COVID, and I got a whole demo, and it's so embarrassing, but I completely forgot what they do. So I'm glad I'm getting this refresher course from you, Amanda.
Well, it's really cool. I mean, they have so these are just some of the things you can do with regards to demand generation. So you can
Oh,
manage leads from forms. So this and these are just screenshots from their blog. Their blog is great. They have like tutorials on how to use their product and like how it relates to the broader topic at hand. But anyway, you can look at create MailChimp subscribers from new type form responses. So if you set up a type form, for instance, that has, I mean, whenever you have a survey, right? All
yeah.
that the stuff that people put in basically goes into a spreadsheet, whether it's a Google form or type form. And then you can take whatever is in that spreadsheet and make it do another thing. So you can make it create MailChimp subscribers, or you can pipe in Facebook lead ad leads into
Mm,
Salesforce. You can turn Zoom registrants into HubSpot contacts. So basically, any one-to-one reaction and interaction can be another thing. You could also use
smart.
surveys, super cool, right? You can use surveys to nurture leads. So if you get a new HubSpot contact, like on your contact us form, you can then add that person to an email nurture. Zapier can pipe them over to that.
Mm,
And then the last thing here is you can just nurture leads, right? So if you have updated HubSpot contacts, like in your HubSpot CRM, you can have them, or sorry, you can update your HubSpot contacts based on other submissions they take in like other forms or such. So
smart.
super cool
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Really interesting. I mean, you can get super creative with this, but it's more about just knowing it exists so that if you have a problem like this, where two pieces of software or two data sources in your marketing or tech stack aren't talking to each other, Zapier can make them automatically talk to each other.
Yep. One of my favorite
Clever.
apps from before. So when I was using like project management software like Asana, you
Mm.
can also set it up so that if you create a task in Asana, it can then create a new Google Doc for you with like certain variable. Like if you have like a template set up, maybe your new project is like a blog post. You can have that
Clever.
create a new Google Doc that has some of the variables from that Asana task. So then you can have your starting doc for that blog post, which is helpful when you're coordinating across teams, right?
Yeah, well, and especially to not have to bug a developer to do it for you, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right. And then we'll end on this. I know we only have 10 minutes left, but these can go pretty quickly. These are just some instant upgrades to the things you're already doing. So all the tools we showed you are just things that you can sign up for, buy, whatever. These are mostly Chrome plugins or
Mm.
extensions. So one of my favorite ones is SimilarWeb. You can check the traffic of any given website. Of course, if a website does not have a lot of traffic, you won't be able to see anything. But
Yeah, I think
this
they
is really cool.
similar web tends to be if they get more than 30,000, 30 or
Hmm.
40,000 visits a month, then it'll be in there.
Ah, that's a pretty high threshold. Um,
Yeah, not bad.
but I mean, it's helpful if you're trying to vet new, maybe some marketing partnerships, for instance, and you haven't heard of the
For
company.
sure.
It happens to me all the time where maybe I haven't heard of a particular company, but it doesn't mean they're not influential, right? I mean, I could just check. Not to say that if you don't make it on SimilarWeb, it's not worth it, but just it could be an indicator of like, okay, I haven't heard of this one website, checked it on similar web. Oh, gets a ton of traffic. Okay, it's new
Yep.
to me. Like that's helpful.
Totally.
Next slide. So, this is one of my favorite Chrome extensions,
Hmm.
Twemex. Twemex, I think is how you say it. So, this is really helpful for like, let's say I were some random person who was having a meeting with Rand Fishkin. I might be curious about like some of his recent content, right? So, you would just look at the Twemex extension and you can see the most engaged with that person's most engaged with tweets of all time and
Oh,
recently. So yeah, so I might go to recent and I would be, and let's say I had a meeting with Rand. I might be like, oh, what's top of mind for Rand recently? Maybe I would look at this, right? And to see like, oh, what's he been talking about on Twitter recently? Oh, he's been talking about misdirected ads, talking about, oh, he had that thing about BuzzSumo and Google Alerts. Like, that's interesting, right? And then finally, you can also see the conversations you've had with each other on the timeline. So maybe
ooh.
so this is super helpful, right? If maybe you're like, wait, I didn't I tweet at Rand about that thing and then he replied to me like what was it again? Right? Twemex would help you find this. And this is basically like whatever you could do in Twitter advanced search, but it's served up at you instantly.
This is really great if you're doing any kind of outreach and you are an
Mhm.
active participant on Twitter already. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah. And it helps me too, right? If someone reaches out to me and they're like, "Hey, Amanda, like we talked on Twitter recently about this thing." And if I don't remember, I can just go to their profile and pull that up really, really quickly. So, love it.
Yeah.
And then two more here. Hemingway app. So Hemingway makes your writing bold and clear. So this gives you a read it. It's totally free. Hemingwayapp.com. And then you can see like it'll give you a readability score based on grade level. It'll also help you clarify some of your writing. Helps it highlights passive voice if sentences are hard to read. If you have adverbs, right? Generally, it's better to have fewer adverbs. So I actually run my tweets through this pretty often just to make sure, like, okay, this thing I said was clear to me, but maybe it's not clear to someone else. And I
Nice.
don't know. What is it? I think the average American has a reading level of like grade 5. I
Hmm.
try to make sure my tweets are around grade 5. Hmm.
Smart. Yeah.
Um, and then kind of a layer on top of that, is it Textio.com? I don't think it's
Yeah, that's how
yeah.
I say it.
Yeah.
Textio.com.
So this will help you. This is really cool because it helps you try to identify points of biases. So
Hmm.
maybe some of your language, um, maybe your language skews masculine or it doesn't skew masculine, or maybe it highlights certain words that might not resonate with a broader audience or with people of a certain population or things like that. So this is not free, I believe, but it is cool if you are trying to, I make sure that you are kind of practicing what you preach in terms of inclusivity.
Yeah. We used it at Moz in their early days
Huh,
for all our job ads. And it was extremely helpful. And in fact, we saw a lift in candidates who were women, people of color, not native English speakers. It was fantastic. So
that's cool.
yeah, it's really weird to think that you're placing a job ad somewhere and like whatever, women aren't applying because you use these words that are kind of coded for dudes. And I never would have picked up on it. Textio does a great job of that.
That's really cool.
Mm.
Oh, last one here. All right. So if you are a paid SparkToro user, you already know that we have a hunter.io integration and you can get contact info. So if you put people on lists and you look at these lists and click on get contact info, you can see the publicly available contact info. You have a paid account. This is from the host of the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. So you can see their Twitter profile, LinkedIn, and their email address. I blacked it out here because, even though it is publicly available, it feels weird to blast someone's info in a webinar. um,
Good.
but if for whatever reason you can't find it on through hunter.io, this tool, which is called contactout.com,
Yeah.
contact out. Um, this will usually kind of fill the gaps. So this works particularly well for like LinkedIn if you're looking for contact info via LinkedIn. Um, so, we went through a bunch of different tools, but ultimately, none of it matters if you aren't using it wisely, if you aren't using it to your advantage. So use the tools to accomplish the tasks that really truly map to your goals.